On the 26th of January 1997, the Green Bay Packers defeated the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 31, taking the Lombardi Trophy back to the house that Lombardi built. Anyone who follows the NFL knows the dynasty that the Patriots became in the 2.5 decades following this game. But 3 months later, another dynasty was brewing. On April 12, 1997, Disney World's Epcot Center in Orlando, Florida hosted a national competition for a little robotics league called FIRST. FIRST stands for the Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It was founded in 1989 by inventor Dean Kamen and MIT engineering professor Woody Flowers. You may not recognize Dean Kamen, but you may recognize his inventions, such as the Segway, the iBot, the insulin pump, and green energy generators. So these two brainy and very successful nerds started up an equally brainy and successful sports league where human athletes are replaced with robots. Each team gets a number according to when they signed up. The lower the number, the older the team. However, for the first few years, the team numbers bounced around teams. This puts an interesting knot in naming, as the first dynasty, team number 71, was Team 14 in 1997. I know, it's confusing. Point being, they won in 1997, their number changed and stuck to 71, and then they kept winning. The greatest thing about FIRST is how it improves. The first time Team 71 became a world champion, it was a solo feat. The next time we see them at the top, it'll be with 4 other teams. See, unlike other sports leagues, FIRST changes its game year to year. Not something slight like moving the goalposts or adding a 3-point line, but completely revamping the changes from year to year to keep teams on their toes. The formula stays pretty consistent. Each year on the first Saturday of January, a new game is revealed, and teams have 6 weeks to build a robot to carry out the challenge. During a match, the first part sees the robots running purely autonomously with no human controls. Then the human drivers take control for the rest of the match. The last 15 seconds mark the end game, where robots either balance or hang, or balance and hang, depending on the game. So back to the NFL, this coach from the Cleveland Browns named Bill Belichick took over the reins as head coach for the New England Patriots in 2000. In 2001, after an injury to starting quarterback Drew Bledsoe in a Week 2 matchup against the New York Jets, the Patriots had to resort to their 6th-round pick rookie backup quarterback out of the University of Michigan named Tom Brady. The Patriots went 11-5, enough to make the playoffs with a first-round bye. They played the Raiders in the divisional round in what is now called the Tuck Rule game, because this Tom Brady fumble was ruled an incomplete pass, since he tucked the ball against his body, which meant his arm went forward. I don't get it either. The NFL scrapped that rule after the season, but that quirk allowed the Patriots to keep the ball, tie the game, and eventually win it in overtime. They then traveled to Heinz Field and did away with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship. The Patriots found themselves at Super Bowl 36 as underdogs to the greatest show on turf St. Louis Rams, who had won it all 2 years prior. In what was then a shock, the Patriots stunned the Rams with a shutdown defense and an incredible 2-minute drill which led to a last-second field goal to win. So they won a Super Bowl at the end of the 2001 season. Whoop-de-doo. But guess who else won a championship at the end of the 2001 season? Team 71. Team Hammond teamed up with Tech Fusion, Miracle Workers, the Neutrons, and Beach City Robotics to defeat the alliance of Wild Sting, the Killer Bees, Team 349, The Rock, and the Cheesy Poofs. Keep an eye on 254. We'll see them again later down the road. But you know what's better than winning one championship? That's right, it's winning more championships. The Patriots cement their dynasty with repeat titles in 2003 with a victory over the Carolina Panthers in Super Bowl 38, and in 2004 beating the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 39. Team Hammond got their back-to-back in 2001 and 2002 in the Challenge Zone Zeal, with another one in 2004 in the Challenge First Frenzy. So both these teams win 3 championships in the same 4-year span. But we're far from over. Team Hammond's last appearance in the finals was in 2007, where they lost to the High Rollers, Bobcat Robotics, and Gompe and the Herd. 2007 was the same year the Patriots looked to do what only one team had done before: cap off an undefeated season. They faced off against the underdog New York Giants in Super Bowl 42. And underdog is an understatement. The Patriots in 2007 had a quarterback who threw 50 touchdowns, a receiver who caught 23 of those, and a defense that held their opponents to 274 points, while the offense scored 589. The New York Giants didn't even win their division and had to play 3 playoff games on the road, yet they would need 3 words to pull off the ultimate upset: the helmet catch. This would allow the Giants to score the game-winning touchdown to become champions, while the Patriots became 18 and done. Since the NFL expanded the season to 17 games, the 2007 Patriots remained the only team to win all 16 games in a regular season. Just 4 years later, the Giants pulled off the same antics again with an excellent twist. They won their division with a worse record than 2007. And boy howdy does history love repeating itself, as the Giants struck down the Patriots in Super Bowl 46 to put a cap on the 2011 season. Speaking of 2011 seasons, back in FRC, the Robots find themselves playing giant tic-tac-toe. But with no 71, who's the new dynasty? That's right, it's 254. The Cheesy Poofs won it in Atlanta with close friend Greybots and Wildstang, whom they lost the finals with a decade prior. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots want to reclaim their throne. After just a 2-year absence, they found themselves back in another championship in 2014 at Super Bowl 49. Hold it! As a Seattle Seahawks fan, I will not relive this moment. Let's just keep it short and say that the Patriots won it. Most quarterbacks don't make it 10 years in the league. Tom Brady made it 10 years between Super Bowl victories. But what about FRC? Well, 254 found themselves at another finals in the challenge Aerial Assist. If your robot could score 1 ball in autonomous mode, you'd get a nice amount of points. The Cheesy Poofs bot could do 3. They played 77 matches in 2014 and won 70 of them, with the 70th one being the most important. So both 254 and the Patriots get 2 championship appearances in the same 4-year stretch. Moving forward a couple years, the Patriots cap off the greatest comeback in a Super Bowl to flabbergast the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51. As much as we love to hate the Patriots, we love the 28-3 memes just a bit more. This Super Bowl had everything. An epic collapse of Atlanta's hopes. The oldest quarterback and head coach to win a Super Bowl, until they beat their own record. This catch. Overtime. This was the first and only championship game to go into overtime since 1959, and we call that game the greatest game ever played. Oddly enough, Super Bowl 51 was the only Super Bowl to be won without having a successful point after touchdown. The Patriots kicked a field goal, scored a touchdown, shanked the extra point, scored another field goal, scored a touchdown with a 2-point conversion, scored another touchdown with a 2-point conversion, and a touchdown to end it in overtime. They scored 31 straight points in around 20 minutes on the game clock to come back from a 25-point deficit. The largest comeback in a Super Bowl before this point was just 10 points, and it ended like this. A few months later, the Cheesy Poofs are back at it again, winning the World Championship in St. Louis alongside Strikeforce, Lightning Robotics, and the Pazcac Pioneers. This bunch then overcame a deficit of their own, coming back down 2-0 and winning 3 straight to win the first, and thank God the only, Festival of Champions. See, typically FRC only had one World Tournament, but starting in 2017 they split it into 2 championships because everything just got too dang big. So, to have one definitive winner, they had the winning alliances of both championships play a best 3 out of 5 matches. But both of these alliances are still considered world champions, so this whole event didn't really matter, which is why this is the only time they did it. In 2018, the Patriots did what the Patriots do and steamrolled everyone and moved on to Super Bowl 52. They matched up against the Philadelphia Eagles. If you remember, these two teams had seen each other before from Super Bowl 39, although the rosters and staff were completely different, aside from Belichick and Brady, of course. The Patriots were the heavy favorites to win because, come on, it's the Patriots. Tom Brady threw for the most yards of any quarterback in a Super Bowl. He was the league MVP that year. But the Eagles had 2 words for the Patriots: Philly, Philly. This play, and a clutch turnover toward the end of the game, gave the Eagles their first Super Bowl victory ever. Meanwhile in FRC, the 2018 challenge took inspiration from video games. So instead of earning points per cube your alliance placed in a balance, 1 point gets earned every second a balance tips your way. So if your robot can pile on cubes early, victory is basically yours. So that's what 254's 4-cube autonomous achieved, for every single match they played. They destroyed the competition all the way up to the finals, and then victory spun to cap off what the Patriots couldn't do in 2007, and what no FRC team has done before: an undefeated season. 53 matches played, and a goose egg in the loss column. They also capped off a feat that very few teams have done in FRC by repeating as world champions. Now it's 2019, and the Patriots advanced back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year after winning a totally fairly called AFC title game against the Kansas City Chiefs. They matched up against the Los Angeles Rams, who won an equally totally fairly called NFC title game. In what was the most boring Super Bowl to date, the 11-5 New England Patriots defeated the flashy offense of the the LA Rams by a final score of 13-3. Meanwhile, the Cheesy Poofs. They hobbled through their 2 regional wins, which, they're still regional wins, but they looked off from previous years. Hell, even their team icon for 2019 was a dumpster fire. They extinguished this fire with the redesigned bot and good suck. 2019 had a space theme, so teams had to place hatch panels over holes in the rockets, put cargo balls in the rocket, and then get off the ground for liftoff. While most teams opted for a traditional climbing mechanic, some teams went for that good suck. That good suck sucked good, and 254 found themselves in the finals for the third straight year. Sound familiar? All they had to do was win one more match to three-peat, and they lost it. And they lost the tiebreaker to lose to an alliance captained by the team they won the championship with back in 2011. New England and 254 both got 2 wins out of 3 straight championship appearances. In the same years, mind you. So with the Patriots seemingly mirroring Team Hammond and the Cheesy Poofs, what does this all mean? Nothing. These are just coincidences. Push enough buttons and we can make anything fit. That 1997 season was the middle of the Chicago Bulls' second three-peat of the Michael Jordan era. The 2001 and 2 seasons had the Los Angeles Lakers capping off a three-peat of their own. The 2017, 18, and 19 seasons were in the middle of a Warriors juggernaut, just like that of New England or 254. But guess who also won major titles in 1997, 2001, 2002, and 2019? Tiger Woods. 4 out of his 5 Masters wins came during those years. The 3 seasons sandwiched in between 1997 and 2001 contain a Yankees three-peat. I'm not even going to discuss Alabama's appearances in the College Football National Championship, but we simply can't miss out on Nigel Richards' Scrabble World Championship wins in 2007, 2011, and 2019. Dynasties just happen in sports. In a league that only has about 30 teams, it's expected that if a team wins a championship one year, chances are good they'd contend again in the following years. In sports with a lot of games like baseball, turnarounds are expected because there are more opportunities for teams to win or run out of gas. Yes, fluke seasons happen, and sometimes teams who go on an unexpected run can't recapture that same magic. Turnarounds in FRC are interesting because the length of FRC tenure and the number of teams in the league invert. Curry, Brady, and Tiger have all had decades-long careers. FRC kids get 4 years. A championship game or series for the major American sports matches up 2 teams out of a league of 30 or 32. In FRC, the final round matches up 8 teams out of a league of 4,000. That's why only 7 teams have gone to back-to-back finals in the divisional era, and only 4 teams have won back-to-back ever. So yeah, this whole chart is just a bunch of coincidences, but as a sports nerd, there's no such thing as a coincidence. I look for any weird tidbit of trivia to piece together predictions. I like looking at previous matchups, what the weather's like, what uniforms the teams are wearing, and who else had been winning the same year as the team I'm studying. Sure, normal people find current stats and analytics preferable, but instead of looking at how one league looks headed toward its finale, it's best to zoom out and see how all the leagues are doing. So as FRC returns to competition, maybe we might see a new dynasty emerge, even if it has some familiar faces along the way.